Here with me now is New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. Miranda, good to see you. A lot of people have lost hope in this guy. I mean, he hasn't been in very long, it's true, but still, he hasn't done anything. On the first day that the new governor of Virginia was in office, he fired every one of the parole officers in the state of Virginia. Every one on the first day. We haven't seen anything like that from this current mayor. Do you think that's a bad portent for the future?
Hi, David. Look, I do think it is. He talked tough about crime during the campaign. And look, frankly, we endorsed him at the New York Post because he was very much the best of the bad lot. The rest of them were uber progressives, defund the police types. So he was the best that we had, and he's a former police officer, and there was hope that he might do something. But, there have been 5 police shootings, 2 fatalities since he's come into office in the first 3 weeks of this year. And his talk has been about really boilerplate Democratic Party wish lists, things that are to do with Washington, not New York. He's talking about passing Joe Biden's Build Back Better furphy up in, down in Washington. He's talking about gun control. I mean, it wouldn't make any difference if you had New York already has the most draconian gun laws. You could make them twice as draconian, and there are still all those illegal guns out there. The only way to get the guns off the street is to put back those plainclothes police that used to do such a good job getting the guns off the street. He said he's going to do that. That's a good first
step. But a gun law, let's face it,
talk.
Miranda, a gun law would not have prevented Michelle Go, that woman who was pushed in front of the subway, from getting killed. There are a lot of people. There was a subway killing with a knife a couple of weeks before that. There are a lot of people that are beaten up. Same is happening in L.A. and Chicago and everything. I mean, gun laws are not the issue. It's the criminals behind the guns and the criminals behind the cars and the knives and the fists that are causing people problems. Today there was a service at St. Patrick's for one of the cops who was killed. Tomorrow is a funeral at St. Patrick's for the first cop who died as a result of that shooting on Friday. Will Bragg be there, do you think? And if so, what would likely happen?
Yes, tomorrow, Jason Rivera, the officer hero who was killed, the first officer to die after that incident. Alvin Bragg should be there, but he won't be welcomed by the NYPD. I mean, why would you want him there? This is a guy who completely misreads the room, misreads New Yorkers who are fed up, who are worried, who are concerned about the violence and the disorder and the just utter lawlessness that New York is very quickly has descended into. And, we had 8 years of Bill de Blasio, and then we had Albany enacting these ridiculous criminal reform laws, which just mean the police are handcuffed, they arrest people and they're out the next minute. We've seen this. It's all over the country. Now we have in Manhattan our own progressive prosecutor in Alvin Bragg. They talk a big talk. He, Kathy Hochul, Eric Adams, they're all acting as if they're responding to the mood of New Yorkers, which is very hostile to these kind of disruptions and dismantling of law and order in this country, in this city that is systematic, deliberate by the Democrats.
It is,
and
it's not just It's not just the mayor. It's not just the DA. We have a new councilwoman who said the NYPD is still the biggest gang in New York City. I mean, so you have all this. I don't mean to rush you, but we're running out of time. And I do want to stick one more soundbite in, because it's of this story of illegal immigrants being shipped. And you did some really breathtaking reporting on this issue way back in the summer when we first found out about it. We had Rob Astorino on earlier. Let me just play a soundbite and get your reaction. Roll tape.
It took 2 months for me to get the videos. I requested them 2 months ago, so it was held as long as it possibly could. But I requested from the Westchester County Police Department. It was the body cams from the police officers. Yeah. Obviously, I knew the dates that they were coming in, and we knew that there were going to be conversations there that were going to be very revealing, and boy, were they.
So, Miranda, very quickly, at least we're able to get FOIA requests answered. Yes, it takes too long. They're trying to keep this information private, but it seems like the bubble has burst now, that the curtain has been pulled off, to mix my metaphors here. Are we going to get more information on this quickly?
Well, we should. Rob Astorino, you have to take your hat off to this man. He is one of the few Republicans who are actually willing to do something about this, not just talk for the cameras, but actually go out and do a FOIA request and get this information and then, get it out into the public. That was a really important piece of information for the public, to let them know what the Biden administration is hiding. They're keeping this secret for a reason, because they know that Americans do not want millions of illegal migrants flooding across the southern border and then being flown into their communities under cover of darkness.
Yeah, no, it's horrible, but don't discount the work that you did on this story too. You really brought it to the light of the viewers and the readers of the New York Post. Thank you very much for your reporting, Miranda, and thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Good to see you.